Hello and welcome to another episode of Geography Made Easy. And in these videos, we try to make difficult geographical topics easy. Firstly, I would like to apologize for not being too regular with my videos, but due to a number of commitments, I'm not able to regularly post videos, but I try to do so as soon as possible whenever I get time. Today I will be continuing with the UPSC optional geography paper. I am going to continue with the topic I am talking on, which is oceanography, and today we will be dealing with ocean deposits. So I will be starting with the first topic, that is, first we will try to understand what are ocean deposits. So ocean deposits or marine deposits are sediments. We have to understand that these sediments are derived from weathering, mostly from the land areas when they are moving into the sea and getting deposited in this ocean bed. So there are different kinds of sediment depositions which can take place depending on where they get deposited, how or what type of materials are there. So depending on that, we can extensively classify these marine sediments or marine deposits all over the world oceans. So ocean deposits are mostly derived from sediments carried by rivers. However, there are certain other sources from which we can get our sediments as well. So if I have to classify marine deposits, I can classify them broadly into three classes. There are a number of classifications which have been given by a number of oceanographers, and you can refer to them also, such as Murray, and I have tried to simplify and give you a broad understanding of the three types of subdivisions which are there, which is based on the type of source from which the deposits are coming. Then we have the location in the sea and certain other parameters which can tell us what is the kind of ocean deposits that we see. So first we will be starting with the first type, which is the type of source or where from where we are getting the different sediments. The first type is terrigenous material. And what is the meaning of the word terrigenous? It means continental. So any kind of deposits which are present in the continents, and if this is the ocean and this is the ocean bottom, so any kind of weathered material which is being transported from the continent towards the ocean and getting deposited on the ocean bottom creates the terrigenous materials. They can be of different types. They can range between gravel, sand, and muds. And also they can be seen in different parts of the ocean. So when they are in the interior, they are called mud. When usually gravel, sand, they are near the coastal areas. Now this is because of the size of the particle. So there is sorting. So as we see in rivers, we see sorting done in case of oceanic deposits, and these sorted deposits, so sorting is the process by which, if I mix in a beaker, if I have a sediment filled water, with time we will see that the heavier material will settle at the bottom, followed by the finer material on the top. So the most fine material remains in suspension. So we see in a similar fashion the heavier material getting deposited near the coastal areas, and as the river moves into the ocean, the river cannot carry the heavy materials, rather it deposits it near the shore, and the finer sediments are seen to get suspended and then finally to get precipitated or deposited in mid ocean. So some of the different types of muds that are seen are blue mud, red mud, green mud. How are these mud colors different? They are different because of the mechanisms by which they are formed and the chemical composition of these muds. So I'm not going to go into too much of details, because for the examination, for the answer, we really don't need to talk a lot about the chemical composition here, because we are not going to deal with this chapter as from the perspective of being an oceanographer. So we need to give the examiners a general idea. Next is volcanism. So we know that volcanic activities are common in the oceans, along the oceans if there are volcanoes, and we have different kinds of volcanic material being thrown into the ocean. We have the mid-oceanic ridges, which are the mid-oceanic ridges are throwing out lava, and this lava gets deposited on the ocean bottom. So we have the basaltic material which can be formed at the mid-oceanic ridges, as well as subaerial. That means that from the volcanic material which gets thrown into the ocean if there is a volcanic eruption. So the material will finally go, and this material will get deposited at the bottom. So we have this kind of material also being deposited in the ocean. Next is the organic remains. Now, organic remains form a very important part of the marine sediments. So we have basically dead skeletons of animals and algae, and these can be further divided into different types. We have the neritic deposits, we have the pelagic deposits, and these are the two main types. So neritic deposits are those deposits which are seen mostly near the surface or close to the surface. So shallow seas is where you will see the neritic deposits. On the other hand, in the deep oceans we see pelagic deposits or oozes. The ooze is a very fine grained powdery mass made out of small invisible shells or bones of different animals. So some of the examples are petroplod, globergina, diatom, and there are many more. I have not mentioned them here, but there are many more. So the organic remains form a very important part of oceanic sediments, and they form a part later of the different kinds of sedimentary rocks and fossil remains which are seen in the ocean floors. Then we have the inorganic precipitates. So we were talking about organic remains. Now we are talking about the inorganic precipitates which are deposited in the sea when certain chemical transformations take place, and we can see that these different inorganic dissolved sediment dissolved chemicals, they can get precipitated in the mid ocean, and they also form part of the sediment. Then we have two other types of sediments. One is the red clay. So this is a particular type of sediment, and it is given special status here. So red clay is hydrated silicate of aluminium and oxide of iron. So first it was thought to be a kind of a ferrous or iron rich element, but now it has been found out that it is formed as a result of calcareous organisms with the residue of certain calcium rich organism, that is the bones and the shells of certain animals. When they cannot become when they are insoluble, they precipitate or they settle at the bottom of the ocean to form the red clay. So the color is reddish, so it is given the name. And of course, we understand it is clay means the particles are very, very fine. Finally, we come to the extraterrestrial matter, something which is rare but is an important part of the ocean sediment as well. So any kind of meteor or meteorite which is entering the Earth's atmosphere from space, when this is large enough to not get completely burned, it gets deposited in the bottom of the ocean, and they are called cosmic spherules. And this is one photo of a cosmic spherule, and they provide a lot of data about the space. So they are important, and they are important for geologists, they are important for oceanographers to understand about the past sea conditions, and they provide a lot of information because they are something different from their composition is different from the rocks etc which are seen on the earth. Next, based on location or depth, we have three classifications of sediments. We have the deep sea deposits, we have the shallow water deposits, and we have the littoral deposits. So we have the shallow water deposits, the boulders, gravel, sand, and mud. We have which is the most shallow. So between high tide and low tide water, you will be able to see them when you go to the beach. Then we have the shallow water deposit, which is between the low water mark to 100 fathoms. So we have the different sands, muds, and gravels somewhere here. So uh, the water mark level, so it might get exposed but not very commonly. And we have the deep sea deposits, also known as the pelagic deposits. We'll be talking about them later. So they are the oozes and the different muds which are seen in the deep part of the ocean. Then we have the classification, which is the other category, which is given by certain oceanographers, which talks about three classes. We have the littoral, we have the hemipelagic, and we have the eupelagic. Littoral deposits are those deposits which are coming from land. So the shore and the shelf deposits. Again, if I want to draw a section, if this is the water table, the shoreline along this area, the deposits will be called the littoral deposits. Hemipelagic deposits are deposits which have two kinds of origin, partly land, partly marine. So we have the different types of mud, such as green mud, volcanic mud. And finally, we have the eupelagic deposits, which is of marine and cosmic origin. We have all the oozes and the different types of clays which are seen in the middle of the ocean only. So now I will be focusing a little bit on pelagic deposits, because this has come as a question in a particular examination during one of the examinations. So what are pelagic deposits? And if they ask you to talk in details about pelagic deposits, one needs to elaborate on this kind of deposits, giving diagrams of where the deposits will be found, and also talking about the different oozes, because it's important to mention about the different oozes. They have different chemical compositions, so you need to prepare this a little bit in details. So the pelagic deposits are very deep sea deposits, and they are usually organic in nature. They transform from one type to the other over time. So within that, there are usually three particular types or of organisms which make up the pelagic deposits. We have the benthos, which are the deep sea organisms. We have the nectons, and we have the planktons. So we have the benthons, or the rooted semi-sedentary. So there is no movement here. So like corals and certain other organisms, plants, which are there in the ocean, and they are in some cases completely rooted to the place where they are found, or sometimes they can travel, but they are mostly rooted into one place. Then we have the nectons, like here we have the fish and the other organisms which can uh, freely move in the water. So their bones, when they die, so bones of them, so they can form the necton deposits. And we have the microorganisms, the very tiny organisms in the ocean, which when they die, their bodies, they decompose, and the calcium carbonate, or CaCO3, which is present in their bodies, get deposited, and they form, like for example, oozes and certain other calcium carbonate deposits, which become part of the pelagic deposits. So all three of these organisms are together contributing to the pelagic deposits. Now, finally, we come to what is the importance of ocean deposits. Why are we studying this? This is the main question. Why are we going through the classifications? Why are we talking about these oozes? How is it helpful to us? So, the importance lies in basically three things here, and they indicate certain things. So the first indication is climate of the earth, and basically past climate of the earth. So if you want to understand the process of climate change which we are experiencing, and want to understand what it was in the past, what were the climatic conditions in the past, the oceanic deposits, because the bones, they are of course a kind of fossils. I'll write it here. So we have these fossils or fossilized calcareous deposits. The fossils tell us a lot about what was there in the past. So reconstruction of past climatic conditions. If a particular sea is a warm sea, which is not a warm sea now, and we see certain kinds of animals which are usually seen, or corals which are usually seen in warm seas, which would decompose or disintegrate to form a particular kind of ooze or pelagic deposit. If that is present in that area, we can understand that the past climate was warmer or the past climate was colder. We can date these sediments, and dating will reveal more about the the climatic conditions of the earth in the past, which can help us to project in for the future. Then the next part is resource potential. So a lot of the sediments, they are resources, they are the repositories for different resources such as oil, gas, minerals, and rare metals, and they can help in exploration. So we know that the Dig Boy oil fields in Assam and the oil fields offshore Bombay, we have certain oil fields, or Mumbai, we have oil fields. So these oil fields are in the sea, and they are formed, of course, in the when we explore the different sediments, the deep sea ocean sediments. But when we go for such explorations, we also need to understand that um, these depositions are very, very important for ecosystems which are thriving there. So environmental assessment needs to be done before we go for such explorations. But of course, for resource potential for the country is great for the sediments. Finally, we have the environmental monitoring. So, climate change and environmental monitoring is something important which ocean deposits, they show us. It is that it serves as an indicator of pollution levels, heavy metal contamination, plastic accumulation, and to judge the health of marine ecosystems, especially if we have the sea becoming acidic, we see the death of or the bleaching of corals. The sediments will be different. The sediments, if you study them, they are going to reveal a lot. So oceanographers, they, when they are studying about these deposits, they come to know a lot about all these factors which can help actually address certain environmental issues. So if you have any doubts or questions, please feel free to write to me in the comment section and let me know how you are liking the videos which I'm making, because that encourages me to make more videos on the UPSC course. And if you have any particular topic in mind, please let me know that. So I will see you in the next video with more topics on oceanography. Bye.